Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Horror and Heavy Metal World. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite series of horror movies, and that would be the Evil Dead movies with Bruce Campbell. Um, there was original, there was a sequel, and then there was I guess they made it into kind of a trilogy. They kind of kept it going with Army of Darkness, and then there was a remake of the original. But I just want to share with you my collection. I have them all on Blu-ray, of course, and the first one here is the first Evil Dead, and this one is pretty popular. It was made in the early 80s. It was made on a very low budget. I don't remember what the budget was, but it was pretty low, especially for the money that's made and the cult following that it's formed. It's very campy. It had horror elements in it for sure. It was supposed to be horror, but it didn't take itself too seriously. Like, it had comedy in it. And Bruce Campbell kind of introduced everybody to Bruce Campbell. And Sam Raimi had a part in this, which is he was a Spider-Man guy, if you didn't know. But I guess he's the director. But yeah, he's worked with Bruce Campbell in some other movies too. But definitely Evil Dead 1. Worth a watch. Like I said, the quality is not the greatest. It was made in like 81. But definitely worth checking out. As the first one. Number 2, Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. Now this one was more of a comedy than a horror. It still had some of the horror elements, some of the gore and creatures and stuff going on and the evil and all that. And, more of the woods camera thing coming at you or whatever. And then this is the one where he lost his hand. He had to cut off his own hand because it got possessed. And, it's screwing with him and chasing him around the house and everything. And he's trying to kill it, and he ends up putting the chainsaw on his arm. So that's when he started having the chainsaw arm. And there was also this part in there where he's like having this, I don't know, kind of insane laugh thing going, like he's losing his mind because all the stuff that's going on, everything's talking, coming to life, and the evil's just really messing with him, and he just starts like laughing and like dancing and stuff. It's hilarious. But definitely a very good sequel. Like I say, a little more comedy than horror, but still a very fun movie to watch. Definitely enjoyed this one as well. Of course, to cap off the trilogy, you got Army of Darkness. Actually, I have like 20 editions of this movie. This is one of the newest ones I picked up. This is the Scream Factory Collector's Edition, of course. I haven't even opened it. Not really necessary to open it. I just kind of like the artwork and stuff and wanted to have every edition of it. But I have a ton of DVD editions and some other Blu-ray editions of this and everything. But Army of Darkness. Army of Darkness now, they went all basically just comedy, slapstick, ridiculous with it. There's a lot of one-liners in the movie that Bruce Campbell uses. Like, give me some sugar, baby, and stuff like that. There was one part where the main woman in the cast gets turned into like a deadite, and she's like, you found me attractive before or whatever, and he's like honey, you got real ugly. Just a lot of stuff like that makes it just it's a very fun movie. There's a little part where there's a bunch of little Bruce Campbells, a bunch of little ashes, like running around and messing with him and tying him down and stuff. It's really ridiculous, but so much fun. Recommend this one as well, for sure. You just watch all 3 of them, and trust me, you'll be happy. You can have a great long movie night. Just watch 1, 2, and then this one, and you'll be happy with it. Trust me. Definitely a fan. Last but not least, the remake. Came out a few years back. I actually went to see this one at the theater. It's the only one of the Evil Dead movies I ever saw at the theater when it was new. It was a packed house. I want to say it was maybe the second week of its release. But yeah, the movie theater was packed. I mean, it was tight in there, and it was loud, and the movie was fantastic. It was a great remake for me. It was a remake, but it wasn't really a remake. I mean, there was a lot of new kind of things that was put into the movie, like a new little spin on it, but it was still like the Evil Dead original story. Definitely a lot of gore, not so much comedy. There's some little quirky things and some little stuff in there that made me laugh. I don't know if it's supposed to be comedy. I'm thinking it is, but I don't know, me, I just laugh at a bunch of crazy stuff. But definitely suggest checking this one out as well. I mean, hell, if you want to watch all four of the movies at one time, I would do that. Last thing is I've always wanted to meet Bruce Campbell. And just because I've been a fan of his since I was just a little kid, very, very young, like maybe 4 or 5. I know I probably shouldn't have been watching them, but I think I was about 5 when I saw the first Evil Dead movie, and it stuck with me all these years. I've always had the movies, but I got a bunch of collectibles of them, posters, just too much stuff of Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, all that. But last year I went to the Walker Stalker convention. It was in Atlanta. And one of the special guests was Bruce Campbell. And he was the first person I went there for. I stood in line for I want to say it was at least 2 hours to stand in line to meet him and get his autograph. And I stood there, me and my daughter, actually my daughter came along with me. She came with me and we stood in line for like 2 hours. Finally got up there. I had brought a little Funko Pop is what it's called. A little collectible thing. And I got it signed there. I don't know if you can see it, but it says Steve on there, or to Steve. It's definitely not something. This is definitely a keepsake for me. I'll keep this forever. So I got his autograph right there. Pretty cool. And this is the pop from the Ash vs. Evil Dead, the new series, which I was so excited about when they made that. I was like, yes, finally some more Ash. But I think it was on Showtime, and there was 3 seasons. And I believe it's done with after the 3 seasons. I'm not 100% on that. But I know I've seen the 3 seasons. And they are fun too. I mean, he just turned it off and on. I mean, it's just, he's still the character 100%. Even at his age, he still makes it funny. It's the same kind of thing. It's not 100% as good as the old stuff, but it's still very enjoyable. And especially gives you some nostalgia if you're a big fan of Bruce Campbell. I definitely suggest watching this show as well. And if you ever get a chance to meet Bruce Campbell, I suggest that as well. But one side note to that, one thing we talked about, my daughter and I, when we met Bruce Campbell, she mentioned his shirt. He was wearing a Hawaiian shirt. And she was like, "Oh, I love your shirt." And Bruce was like, "Well, here, let me tell you about the shirt." He's like, "Do you know how to find a good a good Hawaiian shirt?" And she was like, "What?" And they started having this big conversation on what's a good quality Hawaiian shirt and all this kind of stuff. I'm just sitting here like in awe of meeting Bruce Campbell, and he had these big giant hands, and I don't know, it was fun for me. I was just kind of starstruck a little bit. I mean, I was so excited to meet him. But it's just funny how, of all things, you're talking about Hawaiian shirts, like the ones he wore on Burn Notice. He was wearing those on Burn Notice. And she watched that show, so she knows him from that. Not as much from the horror movies, but she knows I'm a big fan of his. But anyway, just funny. And yeah, I don't know if anybody collects these things, but they're pretty cool little characters. I like the kind of the perfect little size. You know, it doesn't take up too much space, but it's got the character in there. This one's bloody. But yeah. Anyway, that's my Evil Dead stuff. And my rants on Evil Dead. Like I said, check them out. I love them. You'll love them too. That's it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, comment, and I'll keep making these. Thanks.